for that man next year.
Only a junior. He has lit it up as Perry comes up with his third personal foul. And Africentrics over the limit. They are forcing Lutheran East into the double bonus. I'm out of room, my friend. That's 39 of them for John Liggins.
And if you're Coach Stewart and you're looking at that clock, that time can't run out even fast enough for him trying to get this championship.
I'm going to take another line on my score sheet. 40 points for John Liggins. And it's 66-59 now. Africentric trying to work it. Lieutenant lost it out of bounds, but it's last touched by the Falcons of Lutheran East. 2:15 to play.
I believe it was Washington that deflected that basketball.
So here on Ohio State's home floor, where Thad Matta got his Buckeyes to 20 wins this season. Tell you what, John Liggins is sure putting on a show. And once again, they pound the ball inside. And Donald Sewell will go to the free throw line for 2 shots.
And I like what Sewell did there. I mean, he's still being aggressive with the basketball. I mean, there's still a lot of time to be played in this game. I mean, they're up by 7, possibly 9 here if you can make the free throw.
And Lutheran East is forcing them to go to the free throw line. That was Brendan Butler's third personal foul, and he's done a pretty good job on Sewell today, even though Donald has 16 points. The top defender against the top player for Africentric. Senior's got one more, and he gets 1 out of 2. 17 in the game. We average is 22. Sam Liggins going baseline, double teamed in the box. A block on the baseline.
And Perry did the right thing, tried to take away the baseline, but just got there a tad bit too slow. Call for the block, and again, one of the Liggins is going to the free throw line.
4th personal foul now on Laquan Perry. And Sam Liggins is slicing into that lead again.
They're just hanging around.
Yep, they are. And now you're at the 2-minute mark.
It's a 2-possession game.
And that's 11 for Sam Liggins. 40 for his brother. And 51 of the 61 between them. Under 2. Division I championship game. Ball knocked away. It's on the floor. And a scramble for it. And the possession arrow goes to East.
Yeah, Coach Thornton is asking the official about the foul, hack across the arm. But, you know, this is a tough situation for Africentric. You don't want to take a bad shot. But at the same time, if you play timid, you can turn it over. And there's just 3 players on the floor just wanting to win this basketball game. But, you know, it is a quandary. I mean, you're up by 6, and you want the time to come off the clock. But at the same time, the way that the Falcons are playing, you got to be aggressive.
Inside goes to Brendan Butler from John Liggins, and suddenly it's a 4-point game. 67-63, and Lutheran East has not quit in this game. They were down 15 at once, and we got a whistle on the sideline.
Sewell go to the free throw line.
The foul is going to go against George Hayden.
No, that's just a 16th foul for Lutheran, so they'll have to take it out of bounds here.
6 for Lutheran East. They're over the limit. Africentric as Sewell goes in, and he's going to go back to the free throw line. And Africentric's going to have to win this thing at the line.
Well, again, I'll go back to what I said before. The way that the Falcons are playing this half-court trapping zone, you have no choice but to attack the basket and be aggressive. The thing that Donald Sewell will have to do, as you stated to him, they're going to have to make free throws.
And Sewell goes back to the free throw line. He is now 4 of 5 on the afternoon. 18 points for Donald Sewell, 4 under his average, but he is a complete player. 3 assists a game, 3 steals a game, understands his presence on the floor, and he's a good scorer from the low block as well. Second one is no good. Scramble for the rebound, and a whistle and a foul called right in the corner And it's go against the Falcons.
It's Butler with the push.
And I think Brandon Butler is just fouled out of the basketball game. 5th personal foul for the top defender for Lutheran East. And he has fouled out of the ball game with 2 points with 1 minute and 24 seconds to play.
Now you were talking about Sewell, all the other things that he has done on the basketball court, but this is a team that prides themselves on having academic excellence. In this last grading period, 8 out of the seniors had a GPA of over 3 points, and a couple of them had a 3.8. And I know Coach Thornton is really emphasizing structure on the basketball court, but he understands the importance of the academic side as well.
So Brandon Butler has fouled out for Lutheran East. And to the line is Brandon Bowers. And that shot is no good, and a foul called over the back.
Lieutenant over the back. You're right, Tim. That's not what Coach Thornton wanted.
I think he's fouled out of the ball game. According to my statistics, that is foul number 5 on Travante Lieutenant. And the senior is out with a grand total of 11 points and 6 rebounds.
See, what you lose there is not just the 8 points per game, but he's a guy that averages over 11 rebounds and just under 3 blocks, so you lose the defense.
George Hayden will go to the free throw line. He is just a freshman. 9th grader with 4 points today. 123. These are important for Lutheran East. He's played a lot of basketball for the Falcons this season. And a great future ahead of him as well. You can tell he's played some AAU ball.
Oh, big free throws there. I mean, big free throw, I should say. And another one coming up and cut this lead down to a 1-possession game. My goodness.
Afrocentric seeing it slip away. They were 15 up at 1 point in the second quarter. Second one is a little short. So 1 out of 2 for Hayden. We've got a 4-point basketball game, 68-64. Now the pressure defense is man-to-man. And Perry with the crossover in the lane. Got it on the rim, got it on the basket, and in the hole.
What a clutch play.
17, and quickly at the other end is John Ligon with his 42nd point of the ball game. A minute to go. 4 points separating these two Division IV teams. And a whistle. And on the drive by Lance Sullivan, he is fouled.
Well, if I'm the Falcons, I'm getting the ball out of the hands of Perry because he's made play after play, especially in this fourth quarter.
Larry Overton hanging his head a bit. And if that foul is on Larry Overton, that is his 5th. It is his 5th. He has fouled out of the ball game, has not scored today for Lutheran East, as that's the second player they have fouled out today.
Well, one on Lieutenant was the first for Afrocentric.
And then Brandon Butler's out. And now Overton is out with a timeout.
Butler was the first, I believe. Lieutenant was the second.
1:24, and then just a couple of seconds later. 53 points is the all-time leading scorer. It was Jerry Lucas back in Middletown days in 1956 in the semifinal game. And that's the goal today, I think. The Do-It-Yourself Network has teamed up with ONN to bring you dozens of great step-by-step projects on air and online. Log on to OhioNewsNow.com for more information and program listing.
Jerry Lucas is pretty good, I guess.
Yeah. Jerry Lucas back in the day.
All I see is
I see that too.
banners hanging in the arena.
Yeah.
Number 11, Jerry Lucas, along with John Havlicek, Katie Smith,
Earlier
Jackson.
Earlier today, Upper Sandusky beat Triway for the Division II state championship. First time the Rams have won. And later today, you've got Ironton against North College Hill, and that will be a wild one at 5:15 to be followed by the Division I championship game. Lance Sullivan at the free throw line for a pair.
What did you say, Tim, about making free throws? It's going to be crucial here.
Africentric is 16 out of 27 for the basketball game, and 2 in a row by Lance Sullivan. He averages 14 a game, and he's right on its average. Liggins trying to make something happen. It rolls off the rim. That is Sam, and a foul on the rebound.
Sam is just having one of those games. I mean, he's getting the looks that he normally will get in the game. They're just not going down for him today.
Roger McClinton struggling with the way his All-Ohio player has performed. Mike Thornton, my goodness. Division IV co-coach of the year at 26 years old. What a future for this young man. And you know him. He's been coaching around town. He was at Columbus East, played at Columbus East, assistant at Columbus East when they were here in the semifinals.
Well, that's one of the things that you have to do is just learn from other people.
He was at Capital, played at Capital.
You can hear him instructing his team.
Couple by Sewell. He's got 20. 74-66, under a half minute. John Liggins missed it. Rebound is out of bounds to Africentric. Grange Insurance most valuable player is John Liggins of Lutheran East. 42 points. That's a title game record. He's from Lutheran East. Grange Insurance is proud to make a $500 donation in the name of John Liggins at Lutheran East High School and their General Scholarship Fund. Congratulations. It's not often you give a MVP to a team that appears is going to be on the short end of the scoreboard, but he put on a performance this afternoon.
And we just saw 3 of the 14 baskets that he scored here this afternoon. But what a performance by a junior. He'll be back.
So Brandon Bowers is stepping to the free throw line for a pair, and he'll get one more. This is a special team. They've been #1 in the state for almost the entire year. A school that is highly specialized. Missed both free throws. And they are about to specialize in a Division IV state championship. Long one is no good by Sam Liggins, and all they got to do is hold on to the basketball, but there is a foul in the backcourt as George Hayden will send Sewell to the free throw line. And now a
celebration starts.
Oh, yeah. You talk about a celebration. Africentric bringing a state championship to Columbus. And grab your piece of basketball history. Log on to OhioNewsNow.com today and place your order for girls and or boys high school basketball championships only from ONN, the Ohio News Network.
Well, you talked about Coach Thornton. One of the things that he did coming to his first state championship, Brian McCants, who's the head coach at Wellington, has been here before. Leroy Bates, who is the father of 2 of his assistants, he's a coach at Toledo Libby. He felt that, hey, here's 2 coaches that's been there before. I can tap into their expertise, and it appears that it's paid off.
Africentric with 49 boys in the school, expected to grow a bit next year, and don't be surprised if they're Division III next year. The co-coach of the year at 26, and we were talking amongst us on Thursday night, and we believe it's the youngest head coach to win a championship in 5 decades.
Well, you know, obviously as a coach, you don't do it by yourself, and he definitely praised his assistants, Mike and Jason Bates, because he feels that they contribute so much on the sidelines.
Ernie Agnew in the ball game for the first time, and the 6'1 sophomore will go back to the free throw line. And these players, this is the first senior class at Africentric. And the players came from a lot of the different middle schools, Mifflin Middle, Linnmore, Clinton Middle School, and they all are coming together here and getting a good education, and now going to win a state championship.
Now, Sewell's an example of a guy who started at Africentric in middle school and left because he wasn't sure whether they'll have a varsity team, so he made his way back to be a part of the first senior class, and he'll take with him a state championship.
7 seconds. Long shot by Liggins is no good. Donnell Washington puts it up, no, and that's the ball game. Afrocentric out of Columbus has won a state championship in Division 4. What a wonderful scene here at the Schottenstein Center in Value City Arena. The Nubians win the Division IV state championship. The final score 74-66. Back with the trophy presentation in a moment.
In only their second year of existence, the Afrocentric basketball program has a state championship. They beat Lutheran East today in the D4 state championship game 74-66. Hi again, everybody. Dan Franzak joined alongside Dave Sakuti, former OSU assistant basketball coach. Dave, Lutheran East put up a tough game, that's for sure. We didn't see that in the first half, but that was the difference actually in this ball game. The first quarter of play, Afrocentric took over, took advantage of the turnovers, and really made the difference in this ball game.
You know, both teams for the second quarter and the second half, Dan, played pretty even most of the way, but that first quarter coming out of the gates early, I think made a difference for Afrocentric. It seemed like they were pretty well focused. They had, of course, their two stalwarts in there doing most of the damage, but for the most part, getting off to a good start in a championship game is very, very important.
Afrocentric, very balanced team. Sullivan, Sewell, I like Perry too. He's a very physical player, very talented for a big man.
Well, you know, Michael Thornton calls him the X Factor. He's a guy that's very tough to defend because he can hurt you in a lot of different ways. He can get on the inside, but as we saw, he can also handle the ball on the perimeter, and that makes a big difference from a defensive standpoint.
Lutheran East now receiving their medals down on the court for their runner-up. And when we talk about Lutheran East, obviously you have to mention the MVP, John Liggins. It seemed like when Afrocentric was making a run, all of a sudden the Falcons are back in it. Why is that? John Liggins just hit another three, or John Liggins just pulled up a jumper. Never gave up. John Liggins, a true superstar here today.
Well, they all played hard, and John Liggins is the type of player that he knew down the stretch that he was going to have to put this team on his back, and he did. Of course, he set the scoring record for Division IV, but more importantly, he's a young man that really took pride in what he had to do on the basketball floor. Unfortunately, his brother didn't have the type of game that he expected him to have, and it really paid the difference during the course of this ball game.
There he is, our MVP, John Liggins, 42 points today. Unbelievable. When you talk about this Lutheran East squad real quick, the coach, McClinton, really in only his second year, and last year they had to forfeit so many games. So to get his kids back in the mind frame that you are a terrific team, and to get them back here to state, very impressive considering it is only his second year coaching this team.
You know, it had to be a disappointing situation last year for this basketball team, but as you mentioned, Dan, to be able to get back in this situation, it's a long run during the game of basketball. You have to put yourself in position for 5 or 6 games to get to the title game. They got here, and I'm sure one of the messages he'll deliver after the game is for these young people to make sure they understand that they try to get back to this situation again.
They very well could be. I mean, this was only their first try at a state championship, Lutheran East, as it was for Afrocentric. And now here to present the trophy for the state runner-up, we go down courtside now for the trophy presentation, the Assistant Athletic Director for the Ohio High School Athletic Association.
Gentlemen, turn and face your fans here, would you please, to your end? Turn around here. Coach McClinton and the Falcons from Lutheran East. Men, you've had a great tournament run. You've accomplished something that's never been done in the history of your school. You've set the bar high. I know you're disappointed today, fellas, but you young men have lived a dream that many people have of reaching the state Final Four, and you've done it. Not only did you get here, but you won your semifinal game, and today you played for the state championship. And all of those people that followed you are very, very proud. Now, I know, young men, when you travel back to Cuyahoga County at the end of the day, you're going to go back with an awful lot of pride in your accomplishments, and I know your coach is very, very proud of what you young men have done. So with that, fellas, on behalf of the Ohio High School Athletic Association, it's a privilege for me to present the 2005 Division IV runner-up trophy, Lutheran East High School. Congratulations!
Dwayne Warrens, the Assistant Commissioner for the OHSAA, making the presentation for second place. That's not all too bad when you're considering how many teams go through this process here in the Ohio High School Athletic Association. Out of all the teams that got here, they finished second in a very fabulous team, Lutheran East, that's for sure. There they are posing for their state runner-up trophy. Well, we talked about the first quarter of this ball game here, and when you mentioned that, we mentioned turnovers, obviously, and that was a noticeable difference was the turnovers in this ball game, capitalizing on those plays. Also, we also want to mention Afrocentric really didn't make a whole lot of shots early on, but they did capitalize on making the opportunities and created many of those opportunities for themselves to get in position to win this game.
Well, you know, part of their philosophy is offensively is get opportunities to score. Even though they're not a great basketball shooting team percentage-wise, Dan, I think what they try to do is get more opportunities than their opponent, and they've done that well. I thought Ronnie Stokes made a great point towards the end of the game. They lost their aggressiveness a little bit, and it probably helped that situation a little bit for Lutheran East to get back in the ball game. But for the most part, they were able to finish the game. It's a fine line for a coach when you get up 8 or 10 points with a couple minutes to go, but I think they finished the deal today.
What an amazing run for Afrocentric, considering the type of schedule they play. They come from the Columbus City League, and they're a Division IV team playing a lot of these top caliber D1 squads.
Well, as you know, Dan, we talked with Coach Thornton before the game, and I think he mentioned they played 7 or 8 Division I opponents. They played in a very tough city league. They went on the road and played some very difficult games. And I think what it does is shows you what happens in an environment like this. When it gets down to it, the schedule you play sometimes helps carry you to a championship title.
Seeing the players now receive their state championship medals. First time ever in school history, Afrocentric Nubians are state champions. Remember, once again, only their second year of existence. The school's been around a little bit longer than that, but only their second year of existence. And for the coach, he's only 26-year-old, Coach Thornton. He's got a bright future ahead of him.
Well, Michael's a very mature individual, and I think he's done a wonderful job this year of pulling this group together. And as you know, Dan, we talked about it. He has kids come from different areas of town sometimes, so it's sometimes difficult. Him and his staff did an outstanding job. Before the game, Michael said to us, he said, you know, you can go through all the preparations for a game like this, but it really gets down to it. You got to put the game in the kids' hands. And I think that's a remarkable thought from a young coach who would probably want to overanalyze this game a little bit, Dan, but he did that. He put it in his hands. Donald Sewell was an outstanding player for them. He's the one that stepped up. But the whole routine was for them to put themselves in position, let the kids take over, and they did that today.
Really showed a lot of maturity for a young team, obviously, in this position, getting to the state championship game. And as I mentioned earlier, really sharing the will. Javante Lieutenant, he's one of those guys I was talking about, didn't make a lot of his shots, but very crucial to this team's execution, especially in transition, which was another key to this ball game, the way they control the ball and transition.
You know, and the turnover margin, they probably averaged maybe 12, 15 turnovers a game during the course of the season. They played at that level today. And more importantly, I think some of their individuals, especially a Donald Sewell, his presence on the court is so important for this basketball team. He kept himself on the court, not getting in foul trouble. That's good discipline from a young man who really carried this basketball team.
You see Laquan there. You saw Donald Sewell before that. They really don't have a really go-to big guy in the middle. I guess if you had to pick one, it would be Donald Sewell or maybe Laquan Perry underneath. But they're getting it done from the perimeter and in transition. But it's really unique. You see a team like this win a state championship game without a big guy in the middle, like we saw earlier with John Diebler.
You know, what I love about Afrocentric, Dan, is the ability to, it's an equal opportunity type of basketball team. At any point, at any game, and any individual can score points for them. But defensively, they showed me something today that I was wondering if they could present themselves to in a state championship game. Their team defense was awesome today. They really did a good job. Outside of one individual scoring a lot of points, they shut everybody else down from Lutheran East.
Has to be a really exciting time for these young players and these young fans from Afrocentric, only being that it is a very new school. This is a new experience for everybody. I don't know if everybody really knows how to handle themselves in this situation. It might be premature, but these guys might be having a lot more state championships to come, especially if they keep the focus and they keep